The Caribbean sun, a molten gold coin, beat down relentlessly on the deck of the Sea Serpent. Captain Iron Jack Sterling, his face a roadmap of past battles etched by salt spray and wind, surveyed his fleet. 10 ships, bristling with cannons, a testament to his dominance in these lawless waters. But dominance, he knew, was a fleeting mistress. His rivals, fueled by greed and the whispers of imperial powers, were circling. He needed more than just might. He needed an alliance. A rare missive, penned with a quill that had seen more blood than ink, had been dispatched weeks ago, carried by his most trusted navigator, to the distant shores of the Kingdom of Benin. The request was audacious. A bride, a princess, to cement a pact that would solidify his reign and bring new resources to his growing dominion. Jack paced his captain's cabin, the scent of aged rum and sea-worn wood thick in the air. His envoy, a grizzled man named Silas, had promised a swift return. The anticipation gnawed at him, a different kind of hunger than that for plunder. This was about legacy, about securing a future beyond the next raid. The year was 1688, the Golden Age of Piracy, and the stakes were higher than any treasure hoard. Miles away, on a bustling trading post in a land far richer in history than gold, Aminata adjusted the intricate beads woven into her dark hair. Her eyes, sharp and intelligent, missed nothing of the raucous comings and goings of merchants and sailors. Beside her, Zara, her younger sister, with a smile as radiant as the African sun, was captivated by a stall selling vibrant silks. They were daughters of a respected elder, accustomed to the refined ways of their court, yet possessed of a spirit that chafed against the strictures of tradition. A portly merchant, his face slick with sweat, approached them. "Ladies," he boomed, his voice betraying a hint of avarice, "I have news of the utmost importance. Your passage is secured. The ship awaits." Aminata's brow furrowed. "Passage? To where, sir?" The merchant, a Mr. Abernathy, waved a dismissive hand. "To the New World, of course. A most advantageous match awaits. A powerful chieftain, one who commands respect and riches beyond imagining. You are to be his bride, a princess destined for a life of luxury and influence." He beamed, oblivious to the confusion clouding their faces. He had been promised a sizable sum for delivering 2 eligible noblewomen for a wealthy client, and the descriptions, he'd convinced himself, matched. A case of mistaken identity, perhaps, but the coin was good. Zara, her eyes wide with a thrilling mix of apprehension and excitement, clutched Aminata's arm. A chieftain in the New World. Aminata, ever the pragmatist, felt a prickle of unease. This was not the alliance her father had spoken of, nor the diplomatic mission she'd envisioned. "Sir, there must be some mistake. We were told we were to be escorted to a royal court, not this." Abernathy merely chuckled. "Mistake? My dear ladies, there is no mistake. The ship is called the Golden Gull, and it sails with the tide. Your destiny awaits." As they were hurried onto the Golden Gull, the salty air of their homeland seemed to recede, replaced by the brash, unfamiliar scent of tar and cheap rum. Aminata's mind raced, piecing together fragmented conversations, the merchant's too eager demeanor and the vague promises of a powerful chieftain. This was no diplomatic mission. It was a transaction, and they, it seemed, were the commodity. Beside her, Zara, though outwardly calm, felt the tremor of an unknown adventure begin to stir within her. The wind filled the sails, carrying them towards a horizon painted with the stark realities of pirate life, a world far removed from the gilded cages they had known. The arrival of the Golden Gull was met with a mixture of anticipation and confusion on the Sea Serpent. Captain Sterling, his patience worn thin, strode to the railing, expecting to see the regal bearing of a princess. Instead, 2 figures, unfamiliar yet undeniably striking, disembarked, their dark skin gleaming under the Caribbean sun, their eyes holding a fire that belied their apparent vulnerability. Aminata, her posture erect despite the rough landing, observed the scene with a keen, assessing gaze. The pirates, a motley crew of hardened men, regarded them with open curiosity, their rough edges softened for a moment by the sheer unexpectedness of their arrival. Zara, on the other hand, was openly fascinated, her gaze darting from the ship's imposing structure to the colourful, if somewhat menacing, attire of the pirates. "Who are you?" Sterling's voice, a low rumble that commanded attention, cut through the murmur of the crowd. Aminata stepped forward, her voice clear and steady, though a tremor of defiance lay beneath. "We are Aminata and Zara, daughters of the elder of our village. We were told we were to meet a chieftain for an alliance." She chose her words carefully, omitting the details of Abernathy's deception, knowing it would only complicate matters. Sterling's eyes narrowed. This was not the princess he had been promised, not in the way he had been led to believe. Yet there was a nobility in their bearing, a quiet strength that intrigued him. "An alliance, you say? You were sent to me, Captain Sterling, as my intended bride." The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Abernathy, it seemed, had played a dangerous game, selling them into a fate far more precarious than they could have imagined. Aminata's heart sank, but her resolve hardened. "We were deceived, Captain. We were not sent as brides, but as cargo, it seems. We seek passage home." Zara, bolder than her sister, added, "We are not playthings, sir, and we are certainly not for sale." Her gaze met Sterling's directly, a challenge in her bright eyes. Sterling studied them, a slow smile spreading across his weathered face. This was not the meek princess of his expectations, but two women who possessed a spirit as untamed as the sea itself. The political implications of this era were vast, but so was the opportunity. They were women of apparent noble standing, and their presence here, however accidental, could still serve a purpose. "Home," Sterling mused, leaning against the ship's railing, the salt spray misting his face. "Home is a long way from here. The Caribbean is no place for delicate flowers, but—" He paused, his gaze lingering on Aminata's determined expression. "Perhaps you are not as delicate as you appear." Life aboard the Sea Serpent was a harsh education. The pirates, initially amused by the sisters' presence, soon came to respect their resilience. Aminata, with her keen mind, began to understand the intricate economy of the pirate world, the unspoken rules and the delicate balance of power. She observed Sterling, his gruff exterior hiding a complex man driven by a desire for order in a chaotic existence. Zara, meanwhile, found herself drawn to the raw freedom of this life, the camaraderie amongst the crew, and the thrill of the unknown. She learned to tie knots, to swab decks, and even to Aminata's chagrin, to wield a small dagger with surprising dexterity. The presence of the sisters stirred more than just curiosity. Rival captains, hearing whispers of Sterling's exotic acquisitions, saw weakness, an opportunity to challenge his authority. A daring raid on a supply ship, orchestrated by a ruthless pirate named Blackheart Thorn, tested Sterling's defenses and the loyalty of his crew. During the chaos, Aminata, using her quick wit, devised a clever diversion, while Zara, her adventurous spirit ignited, bravely helped to defend the wounded. Sterling watched them, the initial frustration of the deception slowly giving way to a grudging admiration. They were not mere passengers. They were becoming part of the ship, of the crew, in their own unique way. The political alliance he had sought was now fraught with uncertainty, but in its place, a different kind of connection was forming, one built on shared danger, mutual respect, and the undeniable spark of attraction that flickered between Sterling and the two captivating sisters. The Caribbean, it seemed, had delivered more than he had bargained for. The skirmish with Blackheart Thorn had been a brutal awakening. The pirates, emboldened by their survival, now looked to their captain with renewed fervor. Sterling, however, was preoccupied. The bride era had not gone unnoticed by the colonial powers, whose ships now patrolled the waters with increased vigilance. His reputation, once forged in defiance, was now threatened by a diplomatic imbroglio. Yet amidst the brewing storm, a personal conflict raged. He found himself increasingly drawn to Aminata's quiet strength and sharp intellect. She was the anchor, the voice of reason that tempered the crew's wilder impulses. But it was Zara's fiery spirit, her uninhibited joy in the face of danger, that stirred a more reckless part of him. He saw in her the freedom he had long pursued, a stark contrast to the burdens of leadership. One moonless night, Aminata found Sterling alone on the quarterdeck, gazing out at the star-dusted expanse of the ocean. The air was thick with the scent of salt and the distant roar of the waves. "Captain," she began, her voice soft, "I understand the predicament we have caused, but we cannot remain here indefinitely. We are not suited for this life." Sterling turned. His gaze, usually steely, held a flicker of vulnerability. "You have shown more courage and wisdom than many men I've sailed with, Aminata. You have earned my respect, and perhaps something more." He hesitated, the unspoken words hanging between them. "But you are right. This cannot go on." Before Aminata could respond, Zara burst onto the deck, her face alight with excitement. "Captain, a merchant ship laden with silks and spices, sailing too close to our patrol route." Her eyes, however, held a question for Sterling, a plea for what? Aminata couldn't quite decipher. The raid was swift and successful, a testament to the crew's skill and Sterling's leadership. But as the spoils were divided, a palpable tension settled over the ship. Sterling had to make a choice. He could send the sisters back, try to mend the diplomatic ties, or he could offer them a different path. He called for Aminata and Zara in his cabin. The room, usually a den of charts and maps, felt strangely intimate. "The colonial governors are demanding your return," he stated, his voice grave. "Sending you back now without proper assurances would invite further conflict. However," he looked from Aminata to Zara, "I can offer you a choice. You can remain here, under my protection. Your lives will not be ones of ease, but they will be your own. Or I can arrange safe passage back to Africa, but the journey will be perilous, and I cannot guarantee your safety from those who might still seek to exploit you." Aminata met his gaze, her resolve firm. "We came here by mistake, Captain, but we have learned much. We have seen the world, and we have found a strength within ourselves we never knew existed. However, our hearts belong to our home. We wish to return." Zahra, surprisingly, remained silent, her eyes fixed on Sterling, a silent battle raging within her. The allure of this wild, free life, of the captain's dangerous charm, was a powerful pull, but the pull of home, of family, was stronger. Finally she spoke, her voice softer than usual. "We wish to go home, Captain, but we will not go as pawns." Sterling nodded, a flicker of disappointment masked by respect. "So be it. I will see you safely on a ship bound for the nearest port with proper passage. It will take time, and it will require a considerable diversion of my resources." He looked at Aminata. "Your wisdom has been invaluable. You have a mind for strategy, Aminata. You could have been a formidable pirate." He then turned to Zara. "And you, Zara, possess a spirit that could inspire an army. You have earned the respect of my crew." As the sea serpent sailed towards its next objective, a sense of melancholic resolution filled the air. The sisters, no longer mistaken brides, but women who had carved their own destiny on the high seas, prepared for their journey home. The romantic entanglements, the cultural clashes, the raw courage they had displayed, it all coalesced into a story that would be whispered in hushed tones in the taverns of Tortuga and Port Royal for years to come. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, a fiery farewell to a chapter of their lives that had been as unpredictable and exhilarating as the Caribbean itself. Though they were leaving, a part of them would forever remain etched in the annals of pirate lore, the tale of the two sisters from Africa who arrived by error, but who left as legends. Thank you for joining us on this epic journey. If you enjoyed this tale of adventure, romance, and daring pirates, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next thrilling story. Your support fuels our voyages into the unknown.